I was told that we could upgrade or extend our Arctic Spa's hot tub. Could I replace a 3-inch jet with a 7-inch jet to increase massage power?
Hi there, I'm John Keirstead from Arctic Spas. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the plumbing, in particular the jetting and hosing aspect. We had on one of the forums, we had a customer asking, hey, you know, I really love that big 7-inch jets in my SDS seat, and they also referred to the Orca jet in the bottom of the footwell, and they said, you know, I'd like to have 2 of those at the end of my lounge. And I was told by my salespeople that, you know, down the road you could add stuff or otherwise. So I already responded to them, and in their case it's not that easy, and I'm going to show you kind of how they work and why sometimes we can add stuff and sometimes it doesn't make sense. Now the first thing is that they had a tub that was I believe it was a Summit, or maybe it was a Kodiak. Anyway, it was a loaded up model with 3 pumps in it. So it already had all the jet inserts, and you've seen on some of the other spas where there's blanks where there isn't a jet. So adding jets from that point of view wasn't quite as easy. And then they were asking about, you know, could I put one of these 7-inch jets, at the end of the lounge, right? So if you look, the spa that they had, maybe it was a Kodiak now that I think about it, the 8-foot version of this tub, and they had 60 jets. This has 40 jets in it. But if you look at the footwell, the foot section of the lounge, these are only 3-inch jets, right? These are only 3-inch jets. So if I tried to put that jet body here, there's no way it would fit. Okay. Now that said, there's spots where maybe you could fit a bigger jet if you wanted to, particularly on some of the larger spas that we had. You could do that. You could take this jet out, make the hole bigger, maybe put in a slightly bigger jet, but it wouldn't really do what the person wanted. What the person wanted is they wanted the same amount of power that you get out of that big jet. Well, guess what? The small jets take less water, the bigger jets take more water, and the biggest jets take the most water. And an Orca jet, literally one Orca jet, can take the whole force of our pump out of one jet. So 200 plus gallons a minute of water. So it's a great massage, and I can understand why this particular customer wanted to have that, because she absolutely loves the feeling on her feet. And she's like, yeah, you know, I have to alternate feet. First world problems. But the good news is that we could, on spas that were less configured, add stuff later. But I want you to see underneath, right? And you'll see why. So what happens is that when we come from the pump, you'll see on this blue line, this is the pressure side line coming from the pump here, and it's coming around here, and then it goes into this thing here. This is a manifold. You see all these lines coming off here? All those lines. And so there's another one on the secondary pump, the second pump that's on here. You'll see these ones, right? And if you look there, all 20 of those jets are all connected to this manifold, and it's going and plumbing all of these things. So why do we call MPDS, or multi-port distribution system, which just means it comes from the pump, and then there's one manifold with lots of hoses or connections off of it, which we run hoses. What's good about that is it makes it so that the pressure to each jet off of that manifold is very similar. There is some variance, you know, because some of the hoses are shorter, some of the hoses are longer, so you'll get a little bit of difference in flow, but usually not enough that we're not sensitive enough to notice that there's much of a difference. However, in the old days when we first started plumbing spas, they didn't have very many jets. You know, I think the base model had 4 jets and the deluxe model had 7, and you'd come off the pump, and then you just tee into this line. You tee in jet number 1, then you continue down line, cut in there, and tee in jet number 2, and then you go around. And so you'd go around. Well, the first jet closest to the pump was really powerful, like it would be really strong. But the last jet wasn't very powerful, and that's why we started using these manifold type systems. If you look at big jets like that one, the ones that we use in the SDS, we also use a straight version of this size of jet for the in the swim spas and stuff. So that's the swim jets. And this actually fits in the swim jet. So I tell people from time to time, if you want to have stand-up SDS, you can actually take this out on your swim spa. You can take the straight one out, and you can put this one, because this is the same jet body. So you can actually take the one from your swim spa, and you could put in this one. Now you got a rotating jet. So that's an option for those of you that have all-weather pool from Arctic Spas. You can make it a stand-up SDS. So I think it's a really cool option. But if you look at the backside underneath here, you'll see that these jets, the plumbing is totally different. On the regular jets that we saw, it was this 3/4 inch line, right? Here's an example. There's a jet right there, right? It's this line. So it's only feeding this small amount. But you look at these SDS jets, well, that's a way bigger hose. So a whole bunch more water goes through that. And the reason why this feels so good is there's so much water that you get much greater impact. When this is spinning, there's a lot of water coming out. So you get the weight and momentum of that water. So it really thumps you, thump, 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 thump. And I think that's why our customer likes it so much. So this type of a system with the manifolds is something that I think has made the industry better, because this, if I looped this and I went from here, then to 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 here, then this jet would be the weakest and this one would be the strongest. With the manifold, it splits it up and they're all basically the same. So that's the MPDS system that we use on all of our spas. Now, there is some companies out there that use they have like an inserted seat. It was actually a pretty clever idea. I quite liked it. There's certainly some drawbacks in that the seats all have to be the same size so that they're interchangeable and they'll fit in there. But they actually combine these two systems. So they'd build a seat that was removable, and that would have like a manifold jetted system on it. But the seats themselves were connected in a loop. So they'd go from this seat to that seat to that seat. Well, this seat was always going to be more powerful than the other seat. So if you see those ones, it's kind of an interesting concept. The idea is that you can buy a new seat for this and add it to your spa, but it's not really practical. What I really think you want to do when it comes to jetting is, rather than worrying about adding jetting later, is find out what you like. Like, it's interesting, about 50% of the people don't even really use jets. They're more soakers, right? So if you're a soaker, don't spend a whole bunch of money on all these extra jets. If you're one of those people that loves jets, I'm one of those, and you like powerful jets, then these bigger jets are going to supply more water and give you a better massage. And the best way for you to find that out is to go into your local store and book a wet test. We design our showrooms so that you can go around, you can try before you buy, and you can find out what do you like? What do I like? What is the best product for me? Do I like these big jets? Because in that seat, you could get a mixture of 5-inch jets and 3-inch jets, or you could get the SDS jets. So find out what it is that you like and try before you buy. Of course, if you decided, no, I didn't want to get that, I only want a one-pump system, I'm a soaker, lots of people have done that, and then the next thing you know, they hurt their back, or they get in an accident, or something happens and their needs change, or they just get old. That happens, right? Every day goes by, you get a little older, maybe something creaks a little more, and maybe having a little bit more massage will help. So there's a bit of an education on how we plumb the spas and how it relates to the jetting, and how you can add jets after the fact if you want to. And of course, we're always thinking about new jets and stuff that would be great for you. So keep watching. There might be another video on that soon. I'm John Keirstead from Arctic Spas. Thanks for watching.